It is definite and irrevocable. I really would like to get out of politics. My only strength is my credibility. And if I am going to be in public life and I am going to be suspect and a threat, I better get out and really go to where I am needed and perhaps where I am going to be more useful.
What were those suspicions, Mrs. Marcos? Are those suspicions have to do with reports that you have ambitions for the presidency,
Yes.
and that you had something to do with the Aquino killing?
Could be. I am married to the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, and so on and so forth, that I could be would be a successor, and I could be a threat to some of the opposition's ambition, and so on, and candidates. I really, and so many things. So it just doesn't work for my sensitivity. I really wouldn't want to be president. I know what it is to be in Malacanang Palace. That would be the last thing I would like to do for myself, and even for my enemies, if you ask me from my point of view.
Thank you.
He is an old friend of the Philippines and the Marcoses. He was here several years ago. We would want him to come because he is he is a friend, and we would like to show him what has been done in the last few years, and the Philippines is important, or it would be not important to meet President Marcos and come to the Philippines where they have the bases, then that the Philippines is not important in their in the balance of power in this area, or the Philippines is not needed in the global security network, then this is really not our decision. It is an internal decision, and that will be left to the United States government. This is not in our hands.
Our FOCAP session.
Gabi Tabanyar, President of FOCAP.
Mr. Burton. Yeah.
There are microphones.
Oh yes, there's a microphone on each table.
Fought against him and asking him to delay his trip, which he already was planning at that time for a while. Later in August, August 7th, Minister Relay repeated this morning, asking him to delay for at least a month. You yourself, in some interviews, made the comment that if he returns, he will be dead. Could you tell us what you were referring to give us a little better idea of what
Not really dead. I was not, nobody can be sure of that, but surely knowing exactly the general situation here in the Philippines, there was still a lot of animosity going on with the Victor Lovely case and the training of terrorists in Arizona, and also the many people that we had encountered and met whose feelings for Aquino was not too positive. So as a friend, I just told him if you could postpone your trip for a later date. And the military and the government, of course, had some intelligence report to this, and they were hoping to sanitize and clear the way before he could come. So they were asking for a little more time before he could come home to ensure his safety. In fact, transfer guilt to government. When in truth and in fact, the Philippine Center for 3 hours and a half, we had talked about it, and he of his friends here and abroad really practically bullied him and to come home to the Philippines. And he came, and this terrible tragedy happened. And I must confess that if you feel that if the family of Aquino feels that they're in great loss, for the president, myself, and the government, we feel it is just as much loss, because it is a loss not only of 2 Filipino dead, but worse, a stigma is now over 52 million beautiful human beings, a beautiful country, now to be reputed like a bunch of barbarians and cold-blooded criminals. That is causing us a lot of problem economically. Our tourist industry is facing a lot of problems because of this credibility. And yet here is a race, 52 million beautiful human beings, smiling, warm, hospitable, by jurists of the world that governments and presidents and the powerful can go on the Philippines. Like
including, I believe Mr. President, he spoke with some of us, on the 19th, he was told to wait 1 month. And then on August 7th, an article.
No, maybe, I really don't know. I think you could ask this from those who kept postponing this, but most probably they were not able to clear the way yet. You know, you can never tell when you are able to catch the suspects or.
Ex-Senator Aquino in New York. What exactly did you say to him then? And say that?
No. I get first of all, Aquino wanted to meet with me, and so I met with him for 3 hours and a half at the Philippine Center's penthouse in Fifth Avenue, in New York. And he told me that he felt that his health was giving up. So you stay. And this was I thought this was a very humane.
Even though you mentioned that the government was not at fault in the assassination.
You know, that is a little too radical. And besides, I think vox populi, vox Deo. The voice of the people is the voice of God. You must remember that the president, the government which is led by the president, was just elected in 1981 with a vote of 21 million and a half out of 23 million voters. And we had about 87% of the people voting then in 1981. Now, how can somebody just say what he wants and not do what the people want? And he has a responsibility, and the president is not that irresponsible.
Andy?
And if it submit itself to the populace in another vote, that would be a standard under a parliamentary system.
When you resign, it looks like you also can mean you're guilty, and worst and really it is really going against the very vein of what he is there for. He was placed there by the people, and it will be the people who will bring him down.
Yes.
Demonstrations, however, obviously for the Aquino forces. Also last Friday in Makati, and also in many private discussions, businessmen have been expressing their lack of faith in the regime. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about how you think these manifestations of public protest from the people and also private protest from the business sector is affecting the stability of the government.
First of all, the private sector's protest is really protest about the economy in general. Well, this is not a monopoly, again, of the Philippines. It is a problem everywhere. All the businessmen of the world, not only of the Philippines, are complaining. Now, in the case of those people who were in the Aquino funeral, and the number of people there, frankly, between you and me, I was sincerely disappointed, because all the 8.5 million Filipinos here in Metro Manila should have stood up and protest against this tardly act, because it is so un-Filipino. In fact, if only President Marcos and I are allowed to go to mobs, we would have been in the forefront in that protest.
I think what
Well, you know that was politically instigated. You know from what banks it came from, and what buildings it came from, and what place it came from. This is very political, and this is, you can see here that we have freedom here and human rights, and as against what is being bruited about and said around the world. We have the freedom of mobility, of articulating our sentiments.
Just to follow that, businessmen are saying that there are two things that they consider to be what steps the government is going to take through some means other than the commission headed by Chief Justice.
Too many. Give me one.
The other would be a restoration of the issues. And what steps is the government going to take to address those two concerns?
First of all, we have lost our credibility, perhaps because of the media. That, especially in the last few weeks, and it has, the business community's complaint is really not well-founded, because we are now enjoying a very exciting economic growth, bigger than that of, this is the biggest, highest yet since 1974, wherein we were forecasting a 3% GNP, and we are now having, for the first 7 months, an 8% GNP, actually of 14 pesos. Sugar, that is in actually the commission. And since there was no precedent in our country of any assassination of this kind, we had to aid the Warren Commission, which was headed by your Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. And the rest of the members are retired justices. And I'm sure they would not want to mar the reputation at the end.
Would you take that as a slap in the face of your administration of the Philippine people?
No. It's just that we are not important. Why is it's not only the president, because if we were important, whether we are monsters or not, or whatever we are, if we were important, they would come. But if we are not important to somebody, it's not worth the coming. Why use time, energy, and effort to come? If the Philippines is not important to the United States, then there's really, the thing is, we are not expecting, so we don't get frustrated about anything.
Dick Vogel?
I just cannot take it anymore. The slings and arrows of outrageous fortune in politics. So I better get out.
I think what he was referring at, I noticed that there was hurt in your voice when you said a while ago that you wanted to get out because of the suspicions.
The Philippines has one of the lowest wage levels. That this ruling family, how do you answer this? Is it true? It is certainly.
I beg to disagree on that. There is more now there is a bet, especially in the last few years, there is more distribution of wealth. When the president came to office, about, I think that now he has fallen way down. But
Whatsoever, if he became ill or died or retired for other reasons.
I don't think so, because our problem in the country is not because we don't have potential presidents and successors. Our problem in the Philippines is the excess of presidential candidates. So, and I'm not one.
You say you don't think so.
I really don't.
Yes, Alex.
We have been great allies for so many decades, and it
They were also among crowds of people. My question.
please give it to me, because if you want justice and you want truth, I really would like to also, because we need this credibility very badly for our little country and our people.
We've been told that it was confiscated.
Oh, phones, you can confiscate one, but you cannot destroy all. It's not fair. I think this is a little unfair. We cannot base all some of our presumption on hearsay. I suggest that bring us the tape, and I'd be the one to give it to Mr. Fernando if it is necessary.
Tony Lopez.
Well, he said that, in a way, he said that President Reagan terminated his Harvard grant. He was suspecting President Reagan who terminated this Harvard grant. And so I said, if you really have difficulty staying here, I will be even ready to help you. It's true. Us, and let there is his death. Let it not be a joke. It's becoming a fiesta of jokes now, and it's not fair to the man, and it's not fair to a Filipino. And for us, the dead is sacred, and I think we have. And besides, you know very well that is malas, meaning bad luck in our culture. In our culture, the dead is sacred. Please, let's stop using the dead. Let him rest in peace.
Okay, Michael Richardson.
Commodore Jose Flor has recently arrived in Australia and applied too much about military involvement in the assassination of Mr. Aquino, and that he fears for his life if he returns to the Philippines. Do you have any comment on this? Do you know the man? Have you ever heard of him?
I must confess that I have not heard about it yet. I will, if you want, I will let you know about it later. This is the first time I heard about it, so I would be happy to. Government in general, especially the president. This is what, and I do hope so. When that, in the event that I really get to fully in the private sector, maybe this would be it would be very effective and a cause.
May we have the last question now?
Calling for him not to come.
That is a speculation. I don't want to speculate. There's enough speculation going on today, and this is, first of all, the assassin seemed to be a member of the underworld and the subversives, which is not really, which on the contrary are enemies of the state. So how in the world could are they connected, and how could they be linked together? The subversives and the enemies and the underworld people are considered enemies of the state, because they are doing exactly what is not being done and according to the guideline and ideology of the country. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Tragic situation.
And I feel that we have complementary cultures and things. And every one of you without the knowledge of the president. In fact, I passed by the kitchen. So I would come to you.
So when are you pushing through with your transfer?
I really don't know. As I said, when I am welcome. When I am welcome. I go only to places where I am welcome and liked.
Remember, you're very welcome.
I don't like to be a gate crasher. Actually, he has basically, I suppose, he has a little problem with allergies because Malacanang happens to be at the center of pollution in metropolitan Manila. We are trying to work that out in such a way that we have doctors trying to balance taking out the pollutants out of the system. And that's why Malacanang is, and also Malacanang Palace, that's why Malacanang is now under renovation. As you will notice, we are not in the palace itself, but the guest house in front.
Recently, you made an announcement.
Private sector and prime the private sector and be the chief lobbyist for all the small, medium scale entrepreneurs to bring about more efficiency and incentive from government, so that we will have a very economically viable environment for economic prosperity. And I do hope to really go down to the rural areas where 70% of the people are, and really set up linkages and have production centers and process. I would like to set up industrial based and aquamarine based, and I don't need that. I know what it is there to stay in Malacanang and be imprisoned there. I'm just dying to get out.
I have a follow-up.
I was an accident, and being an accident, I really have no responsibilities. And I had flourished really from the private sector. All my projects and all my program, whether it was the population center, whether it was the refugee center, whether it was in the case of the nutrition center, whether it was the cultural center, whether it was the many medical centers, primary, secondary, and tertiary, and all of these programs for the poor, the Tondo, and all of these things, really, most of it, 95% of my programs were really coming from the private sector and private funds. Even the cultural center, of which I was most criticized, is 100% built on private funds, and it is from a foundation. It's the only cultural center in the world, perhaps, that was built and still and operated from private funds and not subsidized from the national government or a national budget. And like all the rest of of these projects that had come to fore.
In view of what you said, I want to resign all your positions. If something should happen to the president, if he should die, or become the executive committee, since you would not be there anymore, who would be the people that would be likely to take up, as a matter of fact, the succession?
My being in the party my going out of politics does not mean that I am not a member of the KBL. And, but at the same time, the one who will succeed the president will be the choice of the Filipino people, the one elected by the Filipino people. And we have constitutional provisions and laws that is to be followed in any event that the president steps down.
If you will be selected, will you still be entertaining the idea of running?
You're putting the cart before the horse. That is a great presumption. And if let me start from myself.
Saying that
This is definite and irrevocable. I don't want to be in politics. I want to go straight to the people, where I can be more useful, where I can be more relevant, and I shall be more intimate with their problems and with their needs, and where I feel I can relate with more effectivity and efficiency. We will organize all these little ones into brigades and the barangays and the towns and all these linkages, and with all this system, you will see in 1 year this little country is going to be in the forefront of economic viability and development and growth. I was supposed to leave the other day, but one of my big problems was really the jeepney drivers, the Metro Aid, the blind, the mute, the disabled. They wanted to protest. This time, another a protest that I cannot resign. I will, my